Welcome to the Global Center for Christ Consciousness. Let's take a centering breath and move into our opening prayer, sacred reading, mission statement, and the talk and meditation. Beloved Father, Mother God, we call upon your radiance, the golden light of your presence. Let this shine upon us, but also let it be activated within us. We are ready to become your holy presence in every way possible. Guide us through the Holy Spirit of God, the Divine Mother aspect of God. Let her guide us and birth within us the Christ being that we are, that we've always been meant to be and fully realized. But for so long now, we've experienced this amnesia, fear and lack and limitations. None of this is your will. We surrender onto the altar all that is unlike your holy presence. We're done. We're ready to just disband with all of this now. So shine your light till it disperses away. And in our hearts and souls, we celebrate the joy of igniting the Christ presence, God's presence within our being. We ask that this shines so brightly, it shines away all else from our own being, and then shines out brightly so much so that everyone else can start to dance with delight that the light of God is in their lives too. And we shine that light so brightly, it activates others, and everyone joins to where the day comes where we see only the light of God. We experience and feel only the light of God. And we affirm that that day is here and now. And so it is. Thank you so much.
From Gautama Buddha. Imagine that every person in the world is enlightened, except you. They are all your teachers, each doing just the right things to help you learn perfect patience, perfect wisdom, perfect compassion. Do not look at the faults of what others have done or not done. Observe what you yourself have done or not done. The world is a looking glass. It gives back to every man a true reflection of his own thoughts. Hatred does not cease through hatred at any time. Hatred ceases through love. This is an unchangeable law. The way to happiness is keep your heart free from hate, your mind free from worry, live simply, give much, fill your life with love. As rain falls equally on the just and the unjust, do not burden your heart with judgments of others, but rain your kindness equally on all. Every experience, no matter how bad it seems, holds within a blessing of some kind. The goal is to find it, which can never be done while holding judgments of others. And so it is.
Thank you. If you would be so kind and share with me your thoughts of what topics you would like to cover today, then we'll do that.
The thinning veil.
What is it?
The thinning veil.
We've got to get ourselves back to the garden.
The archangels.
Pardon?
The archangels.
And then somebody else said something. Gratitude. Okay, hold on. Hold on.
Joy.
Hold on. Okay, what else?
Confidence.
That's what it was. Thank you.
Ascension.
That's good. Thanks.
Retribution.
Memorializing.
That's enough. Good. Okay. Lots of topics, as usual. I mean, you guys are great about requesting. Everything, thinning the veil, getting back to the garden, archangels, God within, gratitude, confidence. I'm not naming them all. I'm just giving the folks online an idea of the burden I carry. Oh my God. Oh, so much. I mean, it's a fascinating thing to see, to witness what's happening in the world. People can say, oh, well, things have always been happening. Yeah, I'm not talking about things that are happening just 3D. This is not the 100th time that we're shifting into another dimension. This is the first time. We started in a higher dimension. We fell. And now we're rising back to another dimension. And people are great about, praising that we're going to another dimension, selling objects that help us get to that other dimension. Everybody's okay with that. But most of them aren't as comfortable looking at the reality of moving to another dimension, which isn't just the frills and the cool things and we all stand and hold hands and chant that we're moving to another dimension. It's what people don't want to recognize is the things you have to let go of to get to a higher dimension. They don't mind talking about what they want to do to get there, but they don't want to talk about what they have to stop doing, like judging. See, all this, the topic of judgment, forgiveness, Course in Miracles kinds of things, and forgiveness and all, seminars on forgiveness and love and healing relationships. It's an interesting thing. Once upon a time, let's say the 90s, it could have been the 60s, it could be the 2000s, but especially the 90s became very popular. Pop psychology, relationship stuff, fire in the belly for men, everybody getting in touch with themselves. And that's cool. But what people don't realize is it sounds like different topics. Have you heard about codependent work? Yes or no? Have you heard about, the men starting to do their circles? And have you heard women getting empowered? Yes, no, right? And those are all kinds of different topics. And here's what the ego does. It makes you think there's 1,000 different topics and they're all fads that you get into and then lose interest eventually. Now that's the bad news, because then you're into it, now you're not into it. When you're not into it anymore, anybody that looks at you, they go, aren't you the woman empowerment, blah, 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 blah. And they think now you're over it, therefore they think it must not have been important. You understand? They don't know the real truth to this, which is every bizarre thing you've ever done, God has a way to use it to take you home. So whether you were doing fire in the belly or, empowerment or law of attraction, Course in Miracles, whatever else, even hard lessons, divorce, near-death experience, all that hard stuff too. They look like lots of topics, and it's just the stuff of earth. Yeah, I was here, and I saw that, and I experienced that. And everybody just thinks it's linear like that. I went to school when I was in 3rd grade. I had math, and I had English, and that's what it looks like. Yeah, but 3rd grade got you to 4th grade. So it's not just blah, 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 like you brush it off 3rd grade. It gave you something to get to 4th grade. And your lessons, divorce or whatever else it might have been, financial crisis, all these things we think of as whatever, it's gone and it's past and it's not important. Every one of them, God is doing this, and using every one of those to bring us home. If you know that, you fast track. You take all these things that are horizontal and you pack them vertical and it takes you higher. If this room was on fire and there was only one escape and it was on the ceiling, what good does it do to look at all the horizontal chairs? I'd start stacking them if I were you. That's the only way out, and people don't understand that. The only way to really get home, we're calling it metaphoric, it's symbol of higher to heaven, the ladder to heaven, is to take the lessons of the past, stack them, and stand on them, and let them take you higher. To people, they're like, oh, yeah, I used to be into that. Oh, I used to read that. Oh, I used to. And they just brush them off, including the hardships. It takes a master to say, no. That's not the way we do this. I can see through it. The game of making everything so blasé that it just never goes anywhere. I'm into something else now. I'm into something else now. See? That's almost like living in regret. That's, 1 minute you're into this, now you're not. Well, why? Think of somebody that's telling you a new book they wrote or a new subject that they're teaching about, right? And they say, well, I'm teaching, and let's pretend you knew them 5 years ago and they were teaching about rebirthing, breath exercises they do. And now they're into, let's say, yoga. And they're saying this is the best thing. In the back of your mind, you're going, that's what you said about rebirthing 5 years ago. So I'm starting to doubt you because you're always into something. See, and I've never been that kind of teacher that it's all still true for me. So the subject comes up of memorializing. The subject comes up of judgment, forgiveness. I'm still on all of them. I don't say, well, that one thing I taught you guys was wrong. Because then you'd sit there and go, well, I wonder if there's anything else that he said that it isn't true. Why teach anything that's not true? Just keep with what's true. I can't think of anything I regret teaching. Some things I don't have the time to, or sometimes teachers stepped up that did a good enough job where I can leave that to others. Certain healing arts I used to teach more specifically. And now I can say, thank God there's people that I trained and now they're able to teach those things. I can move on. But I never regretted any of those things. I don't have regrets for even a relationship of the past. I can tell you how each thing assembled me vertically to a greater understanding of what I'm open to and what I'm not open to. And I've said that before. You can, look up on YouTube talks about assembling a new life. Instead of tangential, A Course in Miracles calls it tangential. The ego is very tangential. It gets you into something and then you're done with it. Something else, but you're never getting anywhere. Even if your tangent is coming here. For a whole 6 weeks, you come and attend and go, well, this is the best ever. And then we won't see you because you're on another tangent. And we understand, all of us, but I understand that as well. There's things that you're into and not into. But trying to get people to activate a mastery consciousness where you no longer just do things horizontally. You step up and everything takes you to another level. The bridge between the higher realms, because one of you asked about ascension. So the bridge between this realm and higher realms is the mind. But we use the word mind. Like when you hear a Buddhist might say, or a student of Buddhism might say, I'm really into mindfulness, and that's going to be another thing they're into. Your partner, or a friend of yours. Oh, I'm totally into now mindfulness and Buddhism. That'll be for a year and a half and then it'll be something else. But they're into mindfulness. And then what happens with Buddhism, unfortunately, is people think because of the word mind, it attracts a lot of intellectuals. Buddhism attracting intellectuals. That's humorous to me. Because you're supposed to get out of the mind. Oh no, it's about mindfulness. No, the translation got mixed there. The words and symbols, letter, let's call it, for mindfulness actually means heartfulness. It's a consciousness fullness. It doesn't mean intellectualness. And yet it attracts a lot of intellectuals because of that word mind. A Course in Miracles uses the word mind a lot, and it attracts a lot of intellectuals. And I always, I sit going, what a bummer. Wouldn't it have been cool if Jesus would have just used the word that he meant to use, which is soul? But he says in the initial notes, I can't use the word soul because people mess it up. They make it into something a little out there. So he has to stay with the word mind. Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes. A lot of people are into mind power when they follow Science of Mind or Center for Living or whatever name they're going to make up for it now, but because it has the word mind. So you have thinkers following Ernest Holmes. But it's because the word mind at the time, especially when he's writing, it meant not the science of, what do you think the science of mind is going to attract? An intellectual. So you have more males too in Science of Mind groups because they're science. Oh, I'll go check that out. Because the word science at the time meant factual, the truth. Science of mind means the truth of God. But the wording, science of mind, it's a different place in my being that resonates with that. So the concept, the word mind, think of mind as being your consciousness. So we are living in the mind of God. That means God's a thinker. No, consciousness of God. You see? So God is consciousness. Now, technically, consciousness happens when the mind of God, the consciousness of God, the presence of God is just in beingness. But when that beingness does something, it's the consciousness that takes the action. Does that make sense? Otherwise, I'm just in being. Let's call it consciousness. I wouldn't, God's saying. Why call it? I'm just being. Now, when God says, let there be light, it's God's consciousness. Now it activates and it starts doing something. It starts thinking, for lack of a better word. You see? So it starts to create. It's the consciousness it creates. And it creates us in its image. So we are made in the consciousness image of God. Doesn't mean God's got limbs. It means made in the image, the consciousness of God. Wow, this is cool. So I'm made in the mind, in the consciousness of God. Now, if God is all there is, then you can actually never leave God. And when God creates you, it doesn't create you over here. It creates you in here, because this is all that is, right? So this is kind of cool. Wow. Then how did we get where we are? Where are you? Well, we're over, where? Earth? Where's Earth? Nothing can be outside the consciousness of God. And God is only love. So then where does politics and disease and all the hurts and abuses, where is that taking place? Here in the consciousness of God. Well, God can't feel those things, do those things. It isn't. So that's the big paradox. How can we be in the presence of God experiencing, we'll call it heaven as well. How can we be in the consciousness and heaven of God and be in hell at the same time? Because you can imagine that you are. You can make believe that you're somewhere else. Think about this factually. If you can't be outside of God, then the hell that we create with each other, karma, disease, hurt, abuse, all of these things are happening in God, but they can't be because none of that exists in God, because they're not happening, but they're being made believe to happen. So if you think you have low self-worth, if any of you think, I feel ashamed for some of the things I've done in my life, okay? Now, does God feel ashamed? No. And you're in God, and only God exists. So then what are you feeling? Ashamed for things I've done. You're make-believing that you did them, and you make believe that you're ashamed of it. So technically, forgiveness of yourself is something you have to do because you believe you still have been naughty. But there's a point where you go, but the funny thing is, I never did it, and therefore I don't actually have to feel guilty about it, which is great for psychopaths because they're looking for all kinds of outs like that. I would love to not feel guilty about anything I've ever done. It's not the same. It's not an excuse to be rude. It's more of, if you believe what I'm saying and you want to try to use it as an excuse to get away from conscience, having a conscience, then you have to take the whole enchilada, which means that if you really understand what I'm saying, you won't use it as a way to escape guilt. You'll start to understand you would never do something to feel guilty about. You can't just say, well, if I'm part of God, I'm okay. I can get away with anything. No, if you're part of God and you really get it, you won't do anything to even think that way. So we're made in the consciousness of God. That's called divine mind. But it's kind of like a nuclear, like an atom. You can split an atom and you have two atoms and they'll become sort of independent. Strangely, they'll become independent. Split cells. You can split a cell, whether it's an amoeba or whatever else. You can split a cell and you have these two things. But technically, those two cells still can communicate. They're never separate. They might look separate, but they're not separate. What is communicating between you and the genetics in your children? If you have children or you have parents, I assume most of you have parents, at some point in this lifetime. Well, even though you separated and maybe moved away, technically the DNA in them and the DNA in you can always be in contact on some energetic level. And some of you were like, oh God, I knew it. No, I'm not saying it's like a bad thing. I'm saying it can communicate. So if you have the effects of mom or dad, and mom or dad start to work on themselves and they get into recovery and so on, as they work on themselves, the DNA in them is sending a message to the DNA in you, I/we are healing. You can say, I don't want any part of your healing because I'm so angry, and you won't get it. But it'll wrap around you and say, honey, I know, and I'm sorry for the things I've done. But when you're ready, and one day you'll go, I'm kind of ready. And this wave of, something comes in. It's love and it's forgiveness that's been waiting for you to accept it. So their growth can pass down to you. And your growth can also upload to them. Mom, dad who never healed, and they passed away and they left the world. They left the earth plane, still all messed up. Wherever you are, there's a frequency still. Those split atoms can still communicate. And so on some level, wherever they are, they can hear you when you say, I'm not just talking about, fine, I forgive you, and pretend that you forgive them. When you grow, when you really grow, your consciousness grows, so does your level of understanding forgiveness. And there's a point where it goes from, I'll never forgive you, to, fine, I guess I have to, gratuitously. See, and that's not real. But it's okay, it's a step. There is a point where you get it. And it's about, I want to make you suffer. And if you do that, it's going to make them hurt more, which is going to make them be more hurtful. Because hurt people hurt. So technically, you're getting this and choosing peace for them brings peace to you, but it also makes them not that type of person anymore. You see? Now, why wouldn't everybody just want to do that? Because sometimes you're too hurt and too angry to go there. And just own it. See? Don't say, well, they don't deserve it. Don't excuse. Just own, I'm not there yet. I'm still either too hurt or too angry, or both. That's when you own that, it's really a powerful thing, a very empowering thing. Doesn't sound like it, but it is. To be able to say, I really want to be at peace with all those people that did A, B, and C, but I'm still feeling the effects of it in my life, and it makes me angry. It ruined my life with my children, and that makes me angry. Of what they did has affected this. That's hurt. That's anger. And then there's the hurt part. I don't have the motivation to forgive because I'm just still hurt. I don't even know all the parts of what's hurt. I haven't gotten there yet. That's okay. Own that. Because what you're saying is the power is here. I just haven't fully activated it yet. You see? That's very, very powerful. But the consciousness of God added into it us. And then, we're these beings which we call the Christ. There's the father-mother aspect of God, and in God was created the child, and that's us. So we're all living in the consciousness of God, which is called heaven, all right? So in heaven, which metaphorically, when you play with parables, that you think of it as a place, but it's a state of consciousness. But in the mind, in the consciousness of God, known as heaven, we live and move and have our being. We exist. And that part of us is called the Christ. Well, at some point, the children of God wondered what it would be like if we could separate. And we took it seriously because all thoughts think. All thoughts create. So if we wondered, free will to do so, if we wondered, this is so extraordinary to be in the bliss of God. Love, just 100% love, 24/7, and there is no measurement of time, but we'll call it that. So this total experience of love. But with free will, we have the ability to also think independently, but independently is a funny word for this, because you're not independent, you're just, as part of your free will, you can say, I love this experience. And one of you, hey, are you loving this experience? And you might say, yeah, I'm loving it, but I'm also in a total state of peace. I'm focusing on peace of this. I'm focusing on the love of this. I'm in the joy of it. You see, we can choose how to respond, but we're all blissing out. And then one of us, and I'm pretty sure I know which one of you it was, said, well, what if we could separate? And all of a sudden we all went, thoughts create. We, because we're one, we just did something very, very tragic. We thought of separation, and now guess what's going to happen? What? Separation. Because all thoughts manifest, right? Only real thoughts can really manifest. This is not a real thought because you can't separate from God. Do you see this? You can't separate. So even though all thoughts create, only thoughts that you can really think can create. To imagine you separate doesn't mean it manifests. It's just more of a, wow, wouldn't that be weird? You see? That's all that's really happened. And we're living the experience of, wow, this is what it would be like if we could separate. You see? This is what it would be like. Now, as soon as you throw the hypothetical would be, you're not going to take it as seriously when you hear about people not liking you. You know, somebody says, I don't like you, they're rude to you, and you, oh, that makes total sense. Because that's what we would be doing to each other if we were separate. But we're not, so I love you. Well, I don't love you, I hate you. Yeah, you'll figure it out. Just imagine that. Not taking it as seriously. Now, that's a tall order when you're in a human body playing all this out. Because what seemed to happen is the Big Bang occurred. And we seem to have blasted away from God, the separation. The blast is, you could think cosmologically, wow, what an extraordinary event. It's actually tragic. And the Bible and all mythologies of all cultures of all continents call it chaos. In the beginning, there was darkness. That's not the beginning. In the beginning of what? Well, before the beginning is God and bliss. None of them talk about that because they can't remember it. But all the stories, for the most part, will say, in the beginning, there was a nothingness. The nothingness came when we said, what are we? Let's separate. And for that moment, we cleared our minds and the world, the universe. It doesn't exist yet, but our consciousness went blank. That's why mythology starts with, in the beginning, there was nothingness. Because that moment, the beginning was the beginning of the separation. As soon as we went from the total being in God, we went into nothing. Our minds went blank. And then it's all of them are saying, and then all of a sudden, after the nothingness, boom, the Big Bang. The Big Bang takes place cosmologically. Yes, a beautiful, extraordinary, all kinds of nebulas and light blasting apart. It's amazing, yet horrific. The sound it would have made, the feeling. But my point is, the Big Bang was a feeling of how terrible it would be to separate from God. You know, the sound, the feeling, the reverberation, if you could be there to see it, it would kill you. It's overwhelming. But you know what's sad about it is, what's really overwhelming is that physical manifestation, that cosmological event reflects how I felt when I lost God. I exploded. I blasted into an infinite number of pieces. And I'm so sad about it that I made some of those people make me sad to mirror it to me. Can I hear an amen? And some of those pieces, I'm so angry. I made some of you the reasons that I feel angry for all of this. You see? I make you also, because I need a little hope. Please be the good people in my life that make me feel a little hope. But don't you let me down. Because then I'm going to put you in that category or that one. You're going to either become somebody that made me sad or angry because you're not living up to what I need. Why do I need it in the first place? Because it's me. I chose to separate. Wasn't my fault. No. We all chose to believe this possibility. And life on earth is the experience of, what if this were true? How would you feel? So it's a very simple thing. If God is timeless, what would life be like if you separated? You'd have time. If God is limitless, you would now have what? Limitations. Well, no, I don't have that. It's my boss who won't give me a raise. They're limiting me. They're one of the people that you blasted out from yourself so that you didn't have to say, I believe in limitation. It's not my boss. I believe in limitation. My boss is acting it out. I get that. But they're not the cause. The cause is the belief in separation. This might sound maybe too theoretical for some minds, but this is how this kind of digresses, and we have to reverse the process. How? By blaming others. No, that would be not reversing it. That's how we got here. So as we wise up, and as we realize, and from the Buddhist concept, it's all happening in mind, which means not mind, intellect, it means consciousness. So in God, I flipped and forgot who I was. Now, God still sees us in heaven. We can't leave all that is. God's still seeing. You're right here. God, listen, I would like a 25-cent an hour raise at work. And God's like, you got to be kidding me. You dreamt up the whole universe and you think you need a quarter? Is that, seriously, is that as good as it gets? So it's kind of a weird thing, and it's a long process. How evolved have we become if we're still needing a quarter, needing a person to tell us we're valuable? It's like we're a long way from getting it. And yet, in every instant is all time. And in every instant is a moment of choosing timelessness. So what seems like we're a long ways away is right now. We can pull it all together now. So, in God's mind, we exist, but we flipped and went into a trance. So what God sees is, you're my beloved children, in whom I am well pleased. Love you. You feel the love, feel the bliss. Isn't that great? We're just expanding greater and greater in consciousness. It's something that the human mind can't really comprehend, but we're expanding in consciousness. All of a sudden, God went, wait, what are you doing? And we're like, we went into this, we closed this eye, and we're starting to open these, and God's like, hello? And, and then the mother aspect says to the father aspect, the lights are on, but nobody's home. Where have they gone? And the mother goes, I think they're actually dreaming of being somewhere else. And the father says, wow, why would they do that? She says, kids, no. So she says, well, they're dreaming they've gone somewhere else. So the mother says to the father aspect of God, wherever they're going, we know it's not a real place, but I want you to send me in there to catch them when they land. So she flies into our minds, which are falling away from God, and she's already prepared. So God says, then go with them. Where? In our minds. So God plants in our mind, places in our minds the answer, which is the Holy Spirit, to help us in any and all reactions to our fall. Simultaneously to our fall, because it feels so horrific to separate, we created a software program in our consciousness and said, this feels so horrific. I need you to make sure that I can never remember this moment. Never let me remember what just happened and that I played a part. Even if it means not remembering God, because if you remember God, you're going to remember that you separated from God. So you must forget love. You must forget bliss. You have to get distracted with every kind of addiction. So we gave this program full power of attorney to do anything and everything to keep us from ever feeling love again. You follow that? That's the creation of the ego. And the father's aspect is the mother aspect, you're going in with them. I'm going to plant you in their mind. I will not remove the ego they're creating. I will not rip out the software they're manifesting, because that would be taking away their choice. What I'm allowed to do, they can argue the point you're not allowed to take it from us, and God wouldn't. Especially since we think it's valuable, that would be ripping away something we think is valuable. No, God says, if that's what you want to believe, fine. What God's allowed to do is go, I'm going to add to you the voice of the Holy Spirit. Wherever you go, she's with you. So the voice of God is the Holy Spirit or Divine Mother. Now she flies in with us and we go and create a very strange reality. But she's always there to counter it. We can have judgment, she'll be the voice of forgiveness. We can have fear, she'll be love. We have this, she'll have that. With limitations, she'll have unlimited. Whatever, as long as we choose to bring her forward and to activate her. And every time she's doing it, it's not just a little correction, horizontal corrections. She knows that every one of them is adding up to your total awakening until one day, boom, I totally remembered the Christ in me again. Right now, it looks like little growth spurts, little moments. Well, I wasn't doing great this year. Yeah, last year was pretty good. I'm taking this class, I'm not taking that. I'm reading this, I'm not reading. It's all these weird horizontal things, and they're so countless. If you think about it, it's exhausting. There's just so much to read, so much to learn, so much to this and that. No, it isn't. Not when you add it up. That's the efficiency of mastery. So on that note, we start as one mind in God, one consciousness with God. But when we, boom, blast away, we created being separate souls. We're not one with God in spirit anymore, capital S, spirit. Instead, we became individuating souls. Now, souls are different from spirit. Spirit is the oneness with God. That's divine mind, that's God, divinity. Souls are sparks that shoot off of the fire, and the souls they still share the same original fire of God. So souls are connected, but they're separate beings that are connected. You see? Separate beings that are connected. When you connect with a soulmate, which you can, I don't mean your twin souls concept, romantic and all that right now. I'm talking about the more we start to realize one day will come when you will be a soulmate with every other being. You won't go, you're my one and only. The rest, I don't like them, but you're my soulmate. And they're going to go, I feel so empty, that makes me feel special. So the two of us can dysfunctionally hook up. Oh, God. Anyway, it's actually more encouraging to know the day will come that I will love everyone and they'll all be my soulmates. How could we not be? We all originated from the same moment. And we blasted, you're still me, I'm still you. No, you're special to me. How could I be special or you special if we're the same? So we don't understand that when we're down here thinking as separate beings. So we blast off from spirit. We become all these spirit sparks from God, and they're called souls. The collective unconscious connects us, but we're separate at the same time. You see the paradox of that? Chakra-wise, upper three chakras, the Spirit of God. Here, one chakra, there one, and the throat center. It crisscrosses over each of the upper three centers, and there we are. Wow, the Spirit of God. That is we're one. And we're a collection. No, we are in the oneness of God. One mind, one consciousness. Then we spirit spark off. The soul is here in your heart and soul. Here is the collective consciousness. And this is where my soul is. But it's also where our soul is. If I want to read the Akashic records, I have to learn to open my heart and soul. Because it's in my flight recorder of my spiritual flight recorder is my soul. It's in my soul. The memory of what I've done in every lifetime. But if I want to, I can also read the records of everybody. Because on one level, we're all connected. So this center here, like the Aquarian, the sign of Aquarius, this is air. Earth, water, fire, air. One of the key words for Aquarius and the time we're living in is humanitarianism, which means you no longer think of yourself, you think of everyone, but not in the rescuer way. We're all connected. I can be a psychic and I can use physical means to learn about you. I can use psychic means, navel center, astral chakra, to learn and tune into you. And that's valid, it's accurate. It's not the same as intuition, which is of your heart. Why is intuition of the heart? Here I can know anything about anyone because I love you. And if I love you, I'm connected with you. Think about the word. I don't like you pushes you away. Love draws you in. So my love for you is in my heart center. And in my heart, if I open this, I can read anyone. But it's not a reading, it's a knowing. So intuition is a knowing, not a sensing. So a psychic who's doing great work, body workers working on the physical body, different chakra down here, it's great work. Psychics, great work. But they might say things like, I'm sensing this and I'm sensing that. That's cool, but it's valid. I'm saying it's different from I know. You see that difference? Now don't say, that's what I want. I want to just jump from here. Relax. You can't actually use the jaws of life to open your heart chakra. It just doesn't work. You'll try, somebody will sell you something. This is a heart chakra formula. Don't drink it, okay? Don't drink it. I'm telling you, don't try to open the heart. Special breathwork exercises, seminars to open the heart. Metaphorically, yes, those can be valid. Metaphorically, those can be valid. Could be a workshop on forgiveness, and metaphorically, that's opening your heart. What I'm saying is, until you want to love everyone, it would be dangerous to open your heart. Sounds strange. Dangerous to open your heart. Because if you don't love everyone, it's going to go poorly when you open this thing. Okay? You're going to manifest reasons to slam it closed, and now it'll be 10 times harder to open it next time. Let the mother help you make it an organic process. Okay? Same with Kundalini energy, because the Kundalini will rise from below the tailbone into the tailbone and on up, and it's just moving like this. That's the mother saying, honey, you're growing. Look at you. Let's pause for a little while. Let's go back down here and work on this a little while. Look, whatever the mother says, and you're in charge. I surrender to the Holy Spirit of God and let it move. And she rises, and someone out there is going to go, no, there's this thing. If you just do this, it'll raise your Kundalini. And then next thing you know, they blasted their Kundalini up, they fried their nervous system, and they walk around Sedona going, blah, 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 blah. They're Kundalini casualties. You don't raise the Kundalini by getting a Kundalini biscuit going, up, Kundalini, up. That's not how you do it. You have to be the consciousness. I don't want my Kundalini being anywhere that I am not. You understand? I want it to be organic. I am this center. And of course, I know the Kundalini would be there. How could it not? If I'm here, how could it not? Unless I'm split from it. And that's dangerous. So, from the divine mind, we became the soul mind. And in the soul mind, we're all connected. In the soul mind, we're one, but a collective. And that's the collective consciousness. It's wonderful. Not the subconscious. It's not the same. But this is where we're all connected. And that's the Akashic records and so on. But that wasn't good enough for us. We then went from being souls, divine mind, soul mind, to intellectual mind, human mind. And that mind is the one that's more like, runs on more intellect. And the sad thing about that, and that's stated by René Descartes, who I think is a brilliant mind in his own right, but he's the one who said, I think, therefore I am. That was his way of philosophically saying, wait a minute, you think that you don't have consciousness. The fact that I can think proves that I exist. And it's brilliant for the time for people that needed to hear that. But then Jesus says in A Course in Miracles, he should have said, I think, therefore I'm not. Well, okay, I thought I understood this philosophical, I think, therefore I am. Now Jesus, once again, has got me in an aneurysm. I think, therefore I'm not. What does that mean? And what it means is this. The more independent you think you are, the less you're really you. So the one that can think, see, independently means this. The fact that I can think, Descartes could have said, the fact that I can think means I'm independent of you. That means I'm not you and you're not me. And it also means the more I develop a keen IQ, the smarter I am, which is more smart than you. And all of a sudden, my intellect competes with your intellect. So now we've individuated all the way down to being completely separate people. I don't know what your trip is. I don't understand you. People will write things like men are from Mars, and all separation. All separation. Splitting people apart. Oh, there's racial divides. There's gender divides. There's, all kinds of divisions, and they're telling you that's just the way it is. That's the way this is, because the ego has hijacked all of this. The ego cannot hijack your divine mind, but it can hijack your soul mind. And it absolutely reaps all the destruction of this to down in here and hijacks your intellectual mind. So now you have intellectuals running a world, which is the most insane, running the asylum. How do I know they're the most insane? And it sounds like a judgment because they're not here. You can't have a good this if you don't have a good this. If you don't have heart, then it's like calling it you have technology without love. None of this can work. Go ahead, activate your AI. Once again, you're creating a separation of a form of, it's just all Atlantean again, but it's just, you're activating more of the solar plexus down without love. The biggest crisis for the Atlanteans is that they weren't Lemurians, but that's another conversation. But the biggest downfall for the Atlanteans is there was no heart, no love. When I say none, there were periods, but for the most part, they lost that. When technology runs rampant, when thinking runs rampant, without love, without wisdom, it can't go well. And it can't go well for different reasons, but that's because the ego kicks in, and creates havoc. So it becomes the person I think I am, not the soul that I am much more so, and the divine that I really am. I've forgotten this. So the goal ultimately is that the divine mind has to be taught, brought in, invited to fill your heart again. It doesn't matter how screwed up you are down here. You have the right, and I'm telling you, the destiny to come back here and say, I don't know anything. I'm a full-blown addict of 50 different types. I'm a nutcase of every type. I'm manic, depressive, schizophrenic, psycho. I got every imaginable mental illness, physical illness. Here I am, but I know that's not your truth. Come from the most vulnerable place. I hate everybody. I'm not even going to pretend I like anyone. Lord, guess what? It's me, the hater. But I'm coming to you saying, but I'm done with this. It's just not taking me anywhere. Own the worst of it so you can give it to God. And when you stand here naked on the altar saying, and it doesn't matter if it's enraged or tearful, the point is it heartfelt? I just don't know what to do. I've tried loving, I got hurt. I tried hating. None of it's working. I don't know what to do. What I do know is this: something in you loves me, and I have forgotten that. I feel undeserving. When I really think about it and I think of you loving me, I feel ashamed. I feel embarrassed because I was your child and look what I've done. And that's that vulnerability. And in that moment, God's going, look at you, man. You're like letting all this weight just fall off. And you're allowing your heart to be open. Now, the mother that's already in there, we say the Spirit of God descend into our being. It's a metaphor. It really means come out of our being. It's already here, the presence of God. But I'm asking for it to shine this light down here in my heart and warm me. And if I do this right, it's like a lantern. Light my fire. Light my lantern, God. If I shut off spirit and I shut off my heart, I'm walking around a dark universe with a lit match and wondering why I can't make good decisions. Because you can't see. You have a lit match in the middle of a dark universe. I wonder, who should I date? Is it really? You're going to light, push it up to each face, which is each person you date. And then, you're for a day, but no, I'm done with you. And a lit match, and you wonder why terrible decisions. You wonder why we live in fear, because everybody's got a lit match at best. You're running on your own reserves, and it doesn't help. It doesn't work. You have to get humble into your heart and say, I'm ready for the Spirit of God, the way the Holy Spirit descended upon Jesus. I'm ready for the Spirit of God to descend upon me and light the lantern in my heart. Now, when that light lights up in my heart, I can direct it downward to light my life. Shine your light upon my health, my finances, my friendships. That's how it works. It's very simple. Try to do life on your own. It does not work. Cannot work. But what we do is blame. I could have gotten by if you wouldn't have taken my match. You only had a match. You should have wanted me to take it away. I mean, it's not working. You know, you'll have more peace if you just go and just give it up than to go, I can't quite. I mean, you're straining to see. The seeing is a metaphor. You're straining to understand why people abused you. I don't understand. You're trying to understand all the lifetimes and lessons and past lives and multidimensional experiences with a match? And you know, why do you think you're fatigued? Why do you have to sleep at night? Because you're exhausted of carrying a match in a dark universe. Why do you have to give up on relationships now and again? Because, you know, it's just not coming together. My match doesn't make you look much brighter than, you know, the way I'd hoped it would be. So nothing goes well. And I'm tired. God, what would you have me do? And it's those arms of surrender. That's what this, you're the chalice, you're the grail. Empty your cup, your matches, empty it. But I'm afraid of being empty. I need something to give me security. There's a reason why. Because if you take a moment to go silent and say, I don't know, not only the arms of the chalice and humility, here's what happens. Metaphorically, what did I say happened first after we decided to separate? Everything went blank. You understand? Then came the Big Bang and chaos. The chaos was the way we felt emotionally when we separated. But what came before the Big Bang? When everything went dark. Do you remember I said that? So when you go quiet and empty your cup, see, I have to have something. That's because you're afraid of the silence. Why would you be afraid of the silence? It isn't the God in you that's afraid of the silence. It's the ego. Why is that? Because on the other side of the silence is your remembering God. Can you empty your mind of all things? And a great, Buddhist, one Buddhist technique for meditation is that you clear your mind. And then you go, well, it's funny, I'm still thinking about what I don't want to think about. Okay, well, now I saw that, so I'm over that. But now I'm noticing that I saw it. So who's noticing it? And then who's noticing that I noticed? And oh my God, you know? And the idea is not to analyze and pick on yourself for it. It's to say, this is endless. This is just like, oh wow, this is endless. Not my will, but your will be done. Silence. And it's not as hard to work even as the Buddhist technique, but they have to bring you there to show you how crazy it is. And so now your mantra can be, not Om Mani Padme Hum, not Boom Shakalaka Boom. It's shh. That's your mantra. And then you start to think, shh. And get used to that quiet. Get used to that silence. And even if you think, well, yeah, I did that for about a minute. It feels pretty good. Imagine for a moment, just, I'm not saying in your breath work, I'm saying just realize that on the other side of that is complete oneness with God. And it can't come rushing in and overwhelm you. You know, I'm having the silence, you know, and then all of a sudden you're like, silence. You know, a friend of mine said they had silence and they saw purple. I don't see purple. How come they got to see purple? I never get what I want. Everybody else wins the lottery but me. And then my girlfriend found her soulmate. You know, but I didn't. I went to workshops all over the planet and I still never found even a friend, you know. And stop. stop, relax, silence. And the reason you're thinking all these things, they're funny, they're tragic, they're tearful, is because you know you're almost there experiencing God. And it won't come rushing in. What will happen is you sit, you have these realizations, and you laugh at what you just did. That's not the laughter of what you just did. You're feeling a tickle of the presence of God that came in. You see? Yeah, the colors, don't go, ooh, purple, stop. The purple is a reminder, I'm connecting. But God doesn't come rushing in. What it does is it filters down through the filters of fear in the void. The light of God comes shining down. So metaphorically, what we want is the perfect, holy presence of God to shine from the heavens. I don't want to be down on earth going, God, I have some issues. Watch, there's another way of doing it. God, in my heart, God, this is what I'm praying for today. I have some issues or whatever it is, or just Thanksgiving. I'm in my heart. That's what I do. I live in my heart more now. But when I live in my heart, it doesn't become like I become breathy. I'm just so heart-centered. I'm a vegan who breathes, it talks like I'm breathing, just, hi, sweet. That's not what it means to be in your heart. You can be in your heart and say, not today. You can be in your heart and go, let's go. It doesn't mean passivity. It means whatever's needed in this moment doesn't matter because I'm centered in God. So if I need to go boom, I'm going to go boom. If I need to shh, I'm going to do that because I'm here and I'm inviting the light of God to shine into my soul. And I'm living that way. The light of God is shining in my soul. Now, if I only talk to God and let the light shine in my soul, I'm going to be, one of those people on planet Earth. Oh, just be, learn to be, and, it's kind of funny. There's these people that just be in the moment, be present, don't, engage in the world, be here now, all these kinds of phrases. But if I write a book about only be here in your heart, be present, be mindful, it's a funny thing. If that book sells 1 million copies, you know that I'm going to be at the bank cashing those checks. Now all of a sudden, where's the guy that, I don't do anything, I just be. So this is worthlessness. This is fake spirituality. It's maybe well-intended, and it might even be something you need to do for a while, just to rest. You've found an oasis. Let me drink for a while, go for it. But at some point, take the lantern and shine the light into the world and make a difference. Don't just go, great to connect with you, God, because they're loonies, so let me just stay right here. Well, there you are, God. You and me, babe. You and me. Focus on me. I'm focusing on only God. Only God. Train. Only God. Get out of the way. Move. You see? You don't. You take every bit of light that you build here, whatever you feel you can afford. Some days you're so hurt, barely connecting, just stay with God. But there's a moment where you realize, my connection, my cup runneth over, and I have enough light to shine on others. See, if I don't have enough light to even find the lantern, I don't have to judge myself. I just need to own and sometimes say to others, I would love to do such and such, but I'm just not there right now. You see? Somebody says, you got to forgive somebody. I know. I'm just not there. That's fine. What you're saying is, I know there's a lantern, but I don't know how to find it because I'm still in the dark a little bit. So here's your job. Turn up the lantern. Once you know you've got it, turn it up. You're not perfect. You're not ascended completely yet, but let the light shine in your heart. Let it raise and turn up the lantern and turn the lantern downward. Turn it down into your intellect, into your emotions, and into your body, into this world, into your environment. Shine the light because you can afford it. Energetically, I can afford it. I smile more. Energetically, I can afford it in the form of money. I pay somebody's bill forward. I feel I can give a hug. I can extend a smile. I can be kind, you see? Because the light is so bright. That's just fantastic. If I say, well, no, but I got to tell that person they're wrong in their beliefs and I'm going to judge them for I've shut the light. I'm running on reserves. You see? That's what happens. We disconnect. So I allowed this belief in separation And in so doing, I created a program, a software, viral software that ruins my ability to remember God. Every time I choose to remember, I'm technically accessing the Norton antivirus program called the Holy Spirit to find the viral programs, to find all the corrupt files and start purging them. That's what happens. I cannot find them. Of myself, I am nothing. You cannot. I don't care who you think you are. I don't care what IQ. I don't care there's nothing you can say that would convince me that you will be able to find every corrupt file in your being. You barely know 1% of yourself. You can't find these hidden things the ego has done. But the Holy Spirit can, which means we need to learn to live in that vulnerable state of dependence. It's called healthy dependence on God. I don't know where all of my stuff comes from. That's why you don't do a 12-step program saying, I need to realize I have a dependence on me. It's on God. I can't do this program without a higher power. And that's a really, not just a good thing to say, it's an accurate thing to say. So you cannot sort out your own partnerships. You can't. I know you think you can, and I know somewhere there's a book that you think will give you some insight. It'll just only help for a little while, till the next annoyance. You need that other thing called God, because it knows the Holy Spirit. It knows all the nuances of issues. It can give you strength where you thought you didn't have it, insights that you thought you'd never have. So many things here. You know, one of you is asking about God within. This is the tangible version of God within. It's when you turn your head to the heavens to pray to God that we think is out there, you're actually turning your consciousness to the heavens right here. In me, the I am presence exists, and in me it lives and moves and has its being. That's what that meant. When you hear in book of Revelation, and then I saw at the end of all destruction, what's Revelation's destruction about? It's the destruction of all the false things I just talked about, where the darkness we've created, the darkness we live in, the reactions, all that's got to go. And so John is saying, and I saw the forests destroyed, and I saw the oceans destroyed. He's talking about chakras being cleared. And then towards the end, and then I saw a new Jerusalem descending from heaven. Here's what he's talking about. The light of God coming down and shining into your heart. And then there's a new world. There's no need for sun for light. Light is always present. All these cool metaphysical and phenomenal miracles he's talking about. And there's peace on earth. And it talks about this like a peace for 1,000 years. Why 1,000 years? Because it has an ending. Why would peace come to an end? Because we'll go from Jerusalem descending into our soul, and our soul reflecting down into our earth, which is your new dimension and your ascension. You're not ascending, you're inscending. The presence of God has to come here now. You don't get to fly up to God and escape the world you don't like. That's not what ascension is. But I understand that's people. The New Jerusalem descends into my heart. And I start to experience that in my new millennium, the Christians call it, the new age, someone else calls it, whatever terms, my life starts to reflect that my heart is in the New Jerusalem consciousness. It says for a period. Why does it come to an end? Because one day all of this will rise completely back into the oneness of God. You see? This is our destiny. This can take a single moment, but just not likely. It can happen in a year, it can happen in 10, it can happen, but there is no limit other than the one we impose on it. Time's an illusion, but we believe in it. So we have to play the game. Okay, then we're going to play the game. So how many more? According to certain systems, we have to wait 80,000 more years before we make the next step, and then 100 billion years before we make the... And yes, let's pretend that was the plan. We're allowed to say, I'm done. I mean, karmic contracts as to how long we're supposed to wake up, let's pretend in 1 million years. That's still a contract that we made up. That's not from God. That's a contract we made up. So we're allowed to go, I was thinking about it. Let me check in with everybody. Hey, how would you guys like to turn a million years into 1 year? Can we do 1 year? Now somebody's going to go, well, I need to be heard. I think we should go for 1 million. And that person, it's a learning curve thing, you know, and they grading scale, and they drag us all down. Why? Because we resent the fact that they want to do this for another 1,000,000 years. Why can't you just get with it? Now we have an argument, and you're voting for president. Again. But the truth is, we never left, but we think we did. So know the truth, we never left, but respect the illusion. It feels like we did. So while you're living in the illusion, you have to respect it, and by respecting it, it means, yes, alter your behaviors, work on your addictions and compulsions, work on better communication skills, clarity, et cetera, because while I'm in the illusion, doing the work will help me remember who I really am. But think about this. When I'm doing the work here, it actually also anchors the light in the illusion. And if the light comes to the illusion, I can see more clearly than in my reactive working on myself. Does that make sense? Take a few centering breaths, please. Good. Just center into quietness. Some of you asked about thinning the veil. That's exactly what we just talked about. The veils are thinning between dimensions, but the veils also have to thin between you and anyone you think is better than you or lesser than you. The veils have to thin between your physical self and your emotional self and your intellectual self, your intellectual self and your intuitive self. Why are they all separate? The veils are thinning and everything's coming together again. We have all the power we need to change our lives, and we have to accept that. Tune in for just 1 minute at all the different kinds of thoughts you have any given moment. How many thoughts have you had today? Let's pretend it was just 100. Guaranteed it was thousands already. Just be aware. Just sit and look and observe. How many thoughts? We don't realize that we're thinking thousands every minute because we're only aware of our conscious mind, which can only think sometimes at one thing at a time. Look at all the thoughts. There's the thoughts of being here on time, the thoughts of what you're wearing, the thoughts of how you look, everything. The thoughts of the people you drove by, seeing a friend, that was a thought. Hi, how you doing? All of it. This occupies my conscious mind, and therefore it also clutters my heart mind. There's no room for God. Even if some of my thoughts were nice, the majority may not have been. Father, Mother God, I don't need to curse extraneous, simple, practical thoughts. But what I am doing is I'm affirming I'm ready to start thinking only thoughts that you would have me think. I'm wanting to only know what you would have me know. And it is beyond enough. I don't need to fight to prove I'm smart or smarter or equally smart to anyone. Nothing to prove. I am as God created me. And I am part of God, and I'm very holy. Teach me to think only thoughts you would have me think. I choose only to think with God, and I deny the effects of all other thoughts, fears, anticipations. I bid them farewell. I'm now committed to living more and more and more in the moment with God. Have me be aware of only what's relevant in the moment. As we were taught, I know nothing means the ego knows nothing. But there's a part of me that knows all. And I'm going to find that place right now. I'm affirming, be still, all my thoughts, be still and know the I am presence of God. So be still. Shh. For the next minute at the most. Just inhale. And on the exhale, hear that concept, shh, like quiet. And only feel the quiet. Any thoughts come in, breathe again, be still, or shh, and exhale and let it all wash away. In this silence, that's where we meet the light of God. Imagine that the silence is a way of opening your heart and surrendering your heart. And in so doing, very organically, you open your heart and the light of God can come shining down from above. It's just easy, smooth, and organic. And in your heart, you see and feel that presence. This is where the archangels, angels, ascended masters, will hold space. They will protect you from other thoughts as much as we allow them to. Only the presence of God is welcome. Like filling up a canteen after a long journey through a desert. Just load it up, let that light fill you up. Father, Mother God, I want to take this light and shine it upon my life, but I don't want it to be me deciding how, who, where, when, how much. I want you to guide me. I want the Holy Spirit, my Divine Mother, to go with me now that you're lighting my lantern, and you show me where to shine this light. Where it's not welcome, I can turn and move another direction. I don't have to let people blow out the light and then be affected by it and now go back to woundedness. Just move on. Show me where, how much. Carrying that lantern, I am here and willing to do the love, the will of God for myself and all brothers and sisters, all creatures of all dimensions. Gently, and so it is. Very gently and gradually come back into the room, not leaving the meditation behind, bringing it with you, integrated into every cell. How's that feel? Good. Just stay in that space for a moment. We're going to do our closing prayer in a moment, but just stay in that space. One of the best things, it's in the top 3 of the messages we received from the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Now, some people think that that's somehow that book is the book that talks about her consummating a relationship with Jesus. That's never in there. It's not mentioned at all. What she talks about is him being her master and her teacher and how much she loved and trusted him. And one of the best things that she shares, and it's a fragmented gospel, so you don't get, it's not complete, but from what you can extract, one of the best things is that she, in one moment, and it's her gospel, she's writing this, but she says, she went to the apostles and she's telling them, I went to Jesus, and I had a vision of him. This is while he was still here, connecting with her. I had a vision of the Master, and he came to me. And so it was an amazing vision. So the next day I asked Jesus, I had this vision of you, and I'm curious, was that my soul seeing you? Was it my astral body? Was I astral projecting? She was asking kind of like which chakra, almost like saying that, were you connecting with me? And he said neither. He said it was in your consciousness, which is the bridge between the spirit, soul, human, you see? So he was saying what you were seeing was my image reflected on a mirror inside your being. It's a very advanced kind of teaching, because he's going into what I'm describing here, that the consciousness, it isn't your soul, because if your soul isn't in an activated consciousness, it's just a beingness. So he's saying, you had an activated consciousness, and in your consciousness I appeared to you. Your consciousness in analogy is like you have a brain, a mind, but you start thinking. Thinking is the consciousness of the mind, let's call it. And metaphorically, consciousness is the thinking part of the soul. You see? It's active. I'm working now. I'm conscious. He appeared into that mirror plane called the consciousness, and she could see him and experience it. Could have felt like physical to her, could have felt astral, could have felt soul. He's saying it doesn't matter. I was appearing in your consciousness. Okay? All right, I think I addressed most, if not all, of the requests that you guys gave. Yeah, and even that back to the garden concept, that's the New Jerusalem, ultimately. Back to the garden. We came from heaven to Eden to earth. The way home is not earth to heaven. You have to go back to Eden. And Eden is a place of love, forgiveness. It's the heart center. Earth is down here. This is Eden, and this is heaven. Heaven, Eden, earth. We go from earth, Eden, heaven, back to the heart. Okay? All right, thanks. Can you share what you learned or heard today that made the most sense, that felt right for you? Yes?
In the silent power of God, we can remember to forgive because there is never anything to forgive.
In the silent power of God, we can forgive. And you get to a point of realizing there's really nothing to forgive, but that's a big leap for us when we're still hurt or angry. But we'll get there. Everybody will get there. Anyone else? Yes?
Two things. One thing you described, cultivating the right skills, character.
Cultivating the right skills, yeah.
So that means, living properly. And in the end, you described the reflection of the consciousness of Jesus. Because that's the path I've been following for decades now.
Wow.
So it just resonated.
Yes.
with me.
And it's amazing because the role of Jesus and Christ, which is Jesus surrendered to becoming fully Christed, on one hand, there's a part of us that uses him as our guide, and he's okay with that. But not really to worship per se, but to use as a guide. Because what he's saying is, I surrender to the Holy Spirit. The mother birthed the Christ in me. All that I have done, you will do as more and more, which it means, including you too must surrender to the mother, the Holy Spirit. Why do you think he said, I left you with the comforter? Because she's got to do that with you. He didn't say, I'm leaving you with me. That didn't make sense. And he definitely didn't say, I'm leaving you with images of me bleeding on the cross. I leave you with the comforter. Well, a bleeding Jesus on a cross isn't exactly comforting. It's nightmarish. So I leave you with the comfort. The mother. It doesn't mean he has no role. Because he's saying, I do have a role. I remembered I'm Christ. And if you can get past your individuality, get back to the collective. In the collective, I'm a part of you, and I remembered, which means a part of you remembered. So when they say surrender to Jesus, it really means surrender to the Jesus that's in you, the Christ that's in you. It doesn't actually mean external worship of a thing, which sounds sacrilegious to some. But it's empowering in reality. Because all that Jesus is, thank you, my brother. thank you. And he's my Savior. And that sounds Christian. He is. The Christ in him is because the Christ in him is my remembrance. But I can worship the Christ in Jesus, or I can allow him to help me activate it in me. And I promise you, that's what he wants. That's what he wants. He wants us in the same state of mind that he's in. That's why they call it putting on the mind of Christ in the Bible itself. Any other comments, questions? Yes.
No ascension, there is no incension.
Yeah, it's not about ascension, it's about incension. Yeah, it's a different way of viewing that, isn't it? Yes?
When you're talking about navigating using a match, and then being resentful at the choices we make in the relationship.
Yes, yes. We're trying to navigate the world with the light of a match, and it's a dark place. And then resenting people for not being able to shine more in our lives, or shine the way we'd like them to. Yes?
I've been asking the archangels to protect me in my walking path on earth. Meanwhile, I need to ask them to protect me from my walking path in the world.
Yes, yes. Archangels, the role they play, and angels, protecting me in my walk of life, but also my inner walk. And the truth of the matter is, Archangel Michael, most people that talk about him know nothing about what he really represents. Archangel Michael, yeah, he slays the dragon, does all the... No. Archangel Michael says Jesus is the way. He calls himself, I am the way. Not because it's just Jesus, it's what Jesus taught is the way of awakening Christ. So Jesus is the way. Michael has another name. I'm the guardian of the way. Which means when you ask to have... Yeah, I got all the chills. When you ask to awaken the Christ, Archangel Michael has to come to you. Oh, well, I thought he was with somebody else. How could he be with them? Man, you're thinking linearly. When you devote to awakening the Christ, you're activating Archangel Michael in and around you because he's the guardian of the way, and he will help you cut away the addictions and the compulsions and the negative thoughts, and he'll help. Now, mind you, if you're addicted to him and you say, hey, I want my negative thinking, he's going to say, and so it is. He has to. But he's the guardian of the way. So he, in a way, he does say to humanity, don't be calling on the Christ presence to be birthed in you if you're not serious. Because if I show up, I don't believe in wasting time. So don't call on me unless you're committed to this. You know, and that's amazing stuff. One more, and then we're going to do our closing prayer. Yes?
I'd just like to highlight the incension, because
Yeah.
it's such a paradigm shift from this whole mindset of ascension that's kind of taken over.
Yeah.
And wow, it's a real shift.
Spiritual pop culture loves the concept, ascension. But secretly, because everything gets hijacked by the ego, secretly, ascension still has us thinking about, oh, I can't wait till I get away from you people. I'm going to be lifted up out of here. You just don't get it. You can't ascend, you incend, because it's a consciousness that grows, which can't happen if I think I can't wait to get away from you people, which I think about now and then. You know, every so often it's like, oy vey, you know, like this world is heavy, man. And sometimes it's tempting. And sometimes I jokingly say, oh, I can't wait. But truly, where are you going to go? Where can you go without us if we're one? What dimension can you... There is no dimension that wants you. You know, there's not a higher dimension that wants you. You have to show up with everyone or not at all. You're just back to earth again. Anyway. Great news, huh? Let's take up our collection, please. Be as generous as you can be. We appreciate your love and your support. There's buttons online for you to push and so you can make donations there. But here, remember, be as generous as you can be. In the purple bags is where you put your donations. The baskets are for any extra donations you can share. Whether it's we use it for people of lesser means or special projects, we appreciate that. And we've just completed some special projects, and we had donations for our new AV computer, thank God. So thank you, those of you who helped with that. And for the Divine Mother, you know, the new garden and the grotto over here is really beautiful. That turned out really nicely. So we appreciate your donations that go in the baskets. They go to those special projects. We have a last couple of projects we're working on right now. So any extra donations we'll put towards that. We could use a couple grand if somebody has the means. Otherwise, whatever you're donating, hold to your heart. The prayer is on your paper that looks like this, or it's posted online. Prosperity blessing, we call it. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. While they're passing those around, I'll make a couple announcements and we'll do our closing prayer. Remember that Daughters of Heaven, there's a couple expirations I'll share with you. The early bird tickets are one within a week now you have to get for the Daughters of Heaven. You can still sign up for the conference. It'll be here in September. The Daughters of Heaven. If you don't know more about it, please either go on to our YouTube channel and watch the Daughters of Heaven talks. Maybe there's announcements. There's the Daughters of Heaven website. There's a book in the bookstore. It's about light workers going to a new level. Not light workers just lighting the way for people to go home, but learning to light themselves up to hold the presence of God while they're in the world. So it's a different perspective, and it's the highest perspective in terms of a group intention. So those early bird tickets are going to expire this week. They're still affordable either way, but they are expiring if you want the early bird discount. So please, and it really helps us. And you can sign up online or in person. We'd love to see you here in person, but you can also register for online. Also, it's the last Sunday we're announcing the last of the DVDs. We keep filling them in as they're selling, but I have DVD sets on topics like the significance of holy days or spirituality, healing, relationships, all kinds of different themes. So there's about 24 different topics, and they're out in the foyer. They won't be there anymore after today, but they're out in the foyer. If you get one, you get them for half price, one or a couple half price. If you get, and there's 4 talks on each one. If you get 5 or more, it goes down like half of that. And if you get the whole set of them, it's a half of a half. I mean, it's very inexpensive to just get all 24, and it's the last chance to get them anyway. All right? So please look at that. And lastly, if you're signing up, if you're watching us online, God bless you and thank you for joining us. Sometimes we don't think about this, but we have this really nice group, people, we attend, we laugh, we join. There are people in places that don't have anything like this. So this is their oasis. This is very meaningful. And this doesn't mean me and a podium. It's your laughter, your presence, your questions, all your intentions, your donations. There are people out there that you don't know, you'll never meet, that are benefiting from your support of this, energetically, your love, your laughter, etc. So God bless you, folks. Please, you need not feel alone. Some of you have that going on. We're here with you. Even if you watch this 3 years from now, always know that there's a group of people that love and care about you. Remember that there's crystal bed session inside the healing room out here. The crystal bed are these Vogel crystals cut specifically for highest frequency, and they put one over each chakra in this bed, and it's extremely powerful, multi-dimensional, so check that out if you can. Let's see. The Enchanted Healing Room is open. It's 1 block away. There we have about a half dozen of our finest healers in the area. Body work, lymphatic work, energy work, all kinds of different things. So you can read about the Enchanted Healing Room in the foyer or on our website if you want to sign up for a session. Let's see, you got that one. So we do have today a mastery class that I'm doing. I started it yesterday. You didn't have to attend yesterday, and in fact, you can watch online what you missed yesterday. So it's yesterday and today, but you can go back and watch that one if you want to sign up. It's here in this room. It's the last time I'm doing it as a 2-day workshop, but it's called Mastery and Healing. So it's a lot of what we covered today, you could say, incorporates into that concept. But going from being a student on the path to sort of more mastery consciousness, taking everything to another level. If you want to sign up, do so in the foyer, okay? And you can also do that this whole weekend online if you want to sign up and just watch online, all right? All right. Please stand for our closing prayer. Feel good? A lot of awakenings, huh? Wow. Wow. Look around at each other just with eyes of gratitude for what we experienced and shared today. You don't even have to know what form it's going to take. Just know miracles are coming from the consciousness we shared today. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so